Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife Jeannie. Michael and Jeannie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rakhma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeannie Ryce.
To the brightness within you, and the truth that is rooted within me.
Good afternoon. This is Tim Hayes again. I'm here on behalf of Dr. Michael Ryce and Jeannie Ryce on Mind Shifters Radio, where we're here to join you and anybody else that you can want to bring to the show to practice the tool of forgiveness, to apply that tool to our minds and our bodies and remove any energy that's less than love, and in doing so, to remove any cause for hostility or fear, which are the seeds of war on this planet. And in that process, and by reaching the commitment of taking these tools to every mind, heart, and being on the planet, we hope to continue to commemorate Memorial Day. And anybody who has ever been hurt by war, killed by war, or forced to kill in war, and in their honor, engage in this process and move toward the eradication of war on planet Earth. And we do that one person at a time, one hostility at a time, one false reality at a time. And we do that with the tools that are available on Dr. Michael Ryce's website at www.whyagain.com, whyagain.com. And in true, generous fashion, everything you would ever need to learn about this technology of forgiveness and begin to apply it to yourself and any false realities within your mind and energy system are available on that website. On the front page, there is a link on the right-hand side that says Download Worksheets. If you click on that link, it takes you to a page where the first 7 or 8 links are all about the chapter of Dr. Ryce's book that explains the worksheet process, a download of the worksheet itself, and then a series of audio downloads that are recordings of this radio show where Dr. Michael Ryce has worked through the worksheet process with a variety of different people. And so with that kind of support and the support that we offer you here 5 days a week on the Internet show, there isn't any further excuse for not removing from your mind, from your body's energy system, every reality that's less than love and every false reality that's been stored through you and from your past generations. Now, a valid question is, how do you know if it's a false reality? And the test for that in this work is, if it leaves me feeling any form of hostility or fear, it's off the mark. It's in error. It's a sin in the ancient Aramaic way of talking about things. Sin was a term used in archery to indicate that you missed the bullseye. And evil in the ancient Aramaic was a word that had 2 meanings, either unripened or unfinished, or really off the mark. In fact, so far off the mark you missed the whole target. So these teachings that Yeshua gave us, the person, the entity named Yeshua, wasn't Jesus, but he was translated into the Greeks as Jesus. These teachings are about the technology for removing the energies that don't belong in the human mind-body energy system. And it's not about a religion. It's not about a way to control other people. It's not about a way to create a big organization with lots of money and buildings and power. Yeshua's teachings were about how each one of us can get in touch with our true source as the energy of creation and learn to keep our conscious awareness focused on that source day in and day out, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of every year, and in that way manifest, bring forth, and express in this world nothing but that energy of love, to learn to be in active conscious awareness of your true source as love, and in that way learn to teach only love in every situation, including the ones that our culture would teach us are perfect excuses for being angry or sad or fearful or blaming or guilty or resentful or hurt or offended. In every situation, to learn to teach only love, to be an expression of that love, and to come to terms with the idea that everything we see from another human being is either an expression of love and healing or a cry for help and healing. And if we learn to see each other as connected in this way, as sparks of light, as sources of this energy of love and creativity and aliveness and joy, then it transforms every experience we have of ourselves and the world around us. So that's what we're here to do, and we have access to the tools through the Dr. Ryce's website, and we have a call-in number, which is 646-200-4169. And if you have a question or a comment and you would like to speak up, please do so. So let's hear. Do we have anybody else on the call? Well, I'm not hearing anybody else. Hopefully I'm being heard somewhere. Jeannie says we have no callers on, but that Michael and David are on. So, David, Michael, pipe up. Let us hear you. And if for technical reasons, oh, there's a click.
Hey, Tim, it's David.
Hello, David. How are you?
I'm doing well, my friend. Thank you for asking.
So can you verify that we were actually on for the first 8 minutes of the show?
I've been listening to you since the beginning.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we are on. I don't know if Michael was able to connect up. Doesn't sound like it. And so Sue and I, could be someone else. Nene said that she would be on here today. So,
well, I was hoping that Nene would call in and Michael and you would be on because of the conversation from yesterday, and you put out a request to Nene that she listen to one of the earliest shows where she called in and then compare it to a recent show or yesterday's show. So hopefully we'll hear from her.
Yeah, well, that request was made in reference to that after she does that, to give me a call and have a conversation about that. And her time frame isn't going to allow her to do that today. She did say after I talked with her yesterday that she would be on the show today to share a little bit more about the process that went on this past weekend that she was referencing to, as far as the suggestion to listen to another program that may be a few days before that evolves.
Okay, but are you saying that she will try to call in today?
Yes, she told me that she was going to call in the show today because she wanted to share a little bit more about what evolved and what processed through this past weekend with the group that she had talked about this yesterday. So she does plan. She did say she was going to be on here. We'll see.
All exciting in your world or the people you're working with there at Heartland?
Well, they are just getting ready for, they're doing their processing, and it's like everyone else. Every day there's an opportunity to, as you talked about at the beginning, to release, let go of a little more of anything other than love, and so they're doing that. They're doing well. I expect Joanne, I'm not with the group right now. Joanne is busy doing some work, and so is Rick, and they haven't showed up as of yet to participate. So there may be some things when they show up, and then I'll let you know.
All right. Well, we had a call. I had a call yesterday from somebody who's asking me to sit in on a Mind Shifters group, which is the second that started in the Cary area. And so we know that there are groups out there and that on a regular basis people are taking advantage of the opportunity to get together in a space of love and camaraderie and use these tools to learn more about this process. And it really is a challenge for all of us to learn something new, to learn a deeper truth at a deeper level, because we're raised in a culture that has us relying on our five senses and our logical mind to try and solve problems without realizing that in that very process we're creating almost all of the problems that we experience. And the conditioning is very strong, it's very pervasive, and so it takes some work. It's a process, it's a constitutional process of growth, and it takes repetition of being exposed to the new material and the position on the part of the individual that you have to have a question in your mind that what you think you already know is only partially true or either partially true or completely false. Because if you're thinking what I know is right and I know it and no one's going to change my mind, then nobody has the power to change your mind and nothing's going to get in. Guy Finley likes to talk about it in terms of, in order to learn anything, I must make myself subordinate to that which I would learn from, to that which would teach me. And if I have resistance at any level, it stops all learning. Because, again, here's somebody who's doing studies of ancient scriptures and spiritual teachings and realizes that I have the power to choose the focus of my conscious awareness in any point in time. And if I choose to hold on to what I believe against any new information or any deeper level of understanding, no one can violate that power in my mind to choose to concentrate and focus on what I believe I know. So there isn't a choice in what you need to learn to grow spiritually, to move ahead, to be a human being who never hurts another, who only expresses love. There's no choice about what you need to learn to get to that level, but you do have the choice to push the curriculum off another day. You have the choice to be exposed to this material and put it down and walk away from it, and not put the pen to the paper, and not do the reality management worksheets or the mind shifters, and to not pick up the tool still point breathing. You do have that capacity. But you don't have the choice of what it is you need to learn in order to be an extension of love in every moment. And Guy Finley likes to talk about it in terms of lessons right in on the back of events. And the importance of the lesson for me in each event is directly proportional to the size and strength of my resistance to that lesson. So the more upset I get, the more I think this shouldn't be happening, the more angry or sad or hurt or frustrated or scared I get, the greater the lesson there is for me in that moment. And if I understand that life is not out there doing things to me, but life, light, the Creator, is there bringing things for me to learn and grow from, then the whole game is changed. And then everything in life can be seen as good. And another thing that Guy Finley mentions is that I just got distracted by something in the chat room, so I'll have to get back to that. There's a note in the chat room that says, Michael and I were in one of Nene's support meetings in Florida a few weeks ago, and there was a visitor there who knew nothing about this work, but he was so taken by Michael, he said he gave us the name of a doctor in the Bahamas. We're having dinner with that doctor tonight at 7, and you never know who's in your audience and where it will go. So thank you, Nene. She says the gentleman was actually a doctor from Chicago and was just on vacation. So please take advantage of the option to learn something new. Either tune into the radio show or stop into a local support group for the Mind Shifters work or start your own, because it doesn't take anything more than the willingness to learn something new and to question that what you already know is only either partially true or completely false. And you can open yourself to a world of new experience, to a universe upon universe of new experience. And there are many of them out there that include a different version of anger and self-righteousness and judgment and constriction and tightness and tension. But there's also the possibility for love, acceptance, relaxation, healing, joy in every moment. And if we learn to shift gears, if we learn to change our filters, and we learn to see everything that happens as something that's there to show us any negativity within us that responds to the events of a moment, and then if we have the tools to use it, we can remove, we can dismantle, we can forgive, which is the true meaning of the word forgive, dismantle that reality from our energy system and move to another level of light, of growth, of joy, of flexibility, of health. And that's our invitation. That's our invitation to you and anybody else that you know. And these tools are available. And if you have a question, if you'd like to talk, if you'd like to give a testimonial, if you'd like to talk about a question about the worksheet, please give us a call at 646-200-4169. That's the call-in number, 646-200-4169. There's plenty of time left. We've got about 42 minutes of the show left. And I'm certain that if Michael's available, he will click in as soon as his technology allows him to. And I'll keep looking at the chat room for any questions or comments. And we'll just keep talking about what it is that is possible with the application of these tools. So we're talking about what it takes to learn something new and to learn it at deeper and deeper levels. And we have to understand, and most of us who've done this know, it can be quite threatening. We had, I think his name was Richard on yesterday, who was talking about how it was quite a challenge for him just to go ask other people what is good about him, what they see about him that's positive. Now, it's difficult for him to ask for a new perspective, for knowledge from a different source. And he was very honest in acknowledging that was hard to do. Well, most of us are like that. Most of us create a sense of security by repeating the same old thoughts, by repeating our old conditioning, by repeating our same old behaviors. And what we're offering in this work is support for people to step out and do something new. You know, I'm a clinical psychologist in Crystal Lake, and I got my doctorate in clinical psychology, and never in all of that time, from a psychological perspective, was I taught everybody creates their own emotions, everybody has the ability to choose the focus of their conscious awareness, everybody is creating their own anger, fear, sadness, and pain, and everybody has the source of happiness and joy within them. And it's a choice to be happy or a choice to be angry or a choice to be sad based on what's resonant within me or my awareness of how to remove those resonant frequencies that don't belong. And so it took running into Krishnamurti and Michael Ryce's work and Guy Finley's work before I, at age 40, had some solid tools to start undoing the conditioning in my life, which was like most everybody else's, that says everybody else causes my emotions. The outside events in my life cause my misery and pain. I'm not responsible for what, other people are stirring up in me. And I had been conditioned for 40 years to think I'm justified in getting angry, I'm justified in my grieving response, I'm justified in my sadness and hurt response. And it's not easy to turn that aircraft carrier around. For anybody who knows how big an aircraft carrier is, several, if not more, football fields long, you can turn an aircraft carrier around, but you don't do it in a few minutes. It's a very slow process, and you need plenty of space. Well, in this work, you can undo the conditioning of your lifetime if you know that it's conditioning and you know that there's a possibility for something else, and you have the tools with which to remove that conditioning one piece at a time. And don't worry, if you have 40 or 50 years of conditioning, it's not that you have to spend 40 or 50 years undoing it, because there is a process that gains its own momentum. And there is a process that's called calving for icebergs, and they drop big chunks of their mass off when they calve. Tons of ice can fall off. But it's a process that needs to get started, and as it gets started and it gains its own momentum, and you start to see, wait a minute, this is better. On the other side of questioning this and trying a new technique instead of staying with the old conditioning, instead of defending what I already know is true as though that makes me more right because I'm really angry, and the more angry I am, the more I know I'm right and the other person's wrong. Guy Finley likes to say, listen, your anger doesn't prove that you're right. Your pain doesn't prove that you're right. Your pain and your anger only proves that you don't know what rightness is. So we're encouraging people to start exploring for themselves what's really true about themselves. And sounds like somebody else is on the line. Who else is there? Is that Michael?
I'm here, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, awesome! It's a miracle. I've been on the whole show but my voice wouldn't come through. I could hear you loud and clear.
Well, Jeannie says, tell Michael he's turned on in the switchboard. I don't know why he isn't on unless there's too much noise there. He had to go somewhere in the property, so she can't connect with you. But I can hear you. There's some feedback, but I can hear you.
Cool. Awesome.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, and the conversation you've been having so far, the piece that I would like to add to it is the game when you play and we dissociate, it will block the thing that you actually block at your truth. And what happens to someone who's about the truth is that when it shows up, and
all right, Michael.
Because
Michael
is the opinion they have.
Let me interrupt you, Michael. Can you hear me? Michael? Hello, Michael. Well, either Michael can't hear me or I can't hear Michael, but he was breaking up so much that I could not comprehend his message. I think he was talking about, I did hear one thing about blockage of truth. And in Michael's work, what he says is the only real cure for blockage of truth is love of truth. We have to love actuality, actual truth, more than anything else, more than our own opinion, more than being right, more than trying to help somebody else, because the only cure for blockage of truth is love of truth.
And hand in hand with that, if you can hear me again, Dr. Tim?
Go ahead.
Yeah, hand in hand with that goes, when we're in blockage of truth and truth shows up, hand in hand goes Satan. In the Aramaic, Satan is a lowercase word. It means the resistor, one who misleads. And the person who's in trauma and turmoil and pain, insisting that somebody else has a problem, and they live in blockage of truth, their minds, literally Satan, will, in Aramaic, will show them a total, complete fraud, and they'll keep insisting that what's going on between their ears and what they see is truth. No, you are the one with the problem. I'm the one with the problem. Why are you the one with the pain? Something about that doesn't make sense. And the addiction to managing stress by keeping truth blocked and sticking to the story. And there comes a point. I ran into an interesting quote the other day from Aristotle, where Aristotle says, "Be careful of what you want." Of Course in Miracles says, you must become aware of the distorting power of the way you want it to be. And we're there, both cases, we're talking about goals. And when you have a goal, like for instance, your goal could be to be right, to be perfect, to always know, to, whatever the goal is, then that goal will keep us locked to truth. That's why the forgiveness process is so important, and why it's the only way to get out of being controlled by something that is in a dissociated mind. And so it's an interesting cycle that we can get stuck in, because our mind gives us a 9-bit reality, and we insist that must be the truth. And no matter how often it comes around that's a fraud, that's a lie, and no matter how expert the information is that we get, one is addicted to managing their stress by blocking the truth will keep sticking to their story and will refuse to let go of their story. And that literally becomes an actual addiction. And most people in this world are addicted to managing their stress by blockage of truth. That's why it's so difficult for people to really, truly enter into the actual teaching of Yeshua, and why we get all kinds of, we get people who have hostility and fear, who hear about the teachings of Yeshua and say, hey, yay, rah, yeah, good, oh, awesome, yes, I love it, yep, that's where I want to go. And then they make up a dogma based in hostility and fear in order to take place because of what the truth is. And the truth is, the man talks about how to get to an experience of yourself as a human being, as the active presence of love. And so it's an interesting cycle to get free from the belief in hostility or fear and the blockage of truth that ensues.
And we're fortunate that the Creator implanted in us an elemental force that will guide us to truth and happiness and break off the effects of our errors if we only call upon it. And we're also fortunate that there's this fabulous thing called emotions, which is the alarm system to let us know when we're off base with our thoughts. And if we're feeling any form of hostility or fear or any of the other negative emotions that are their grandchildren, that's our wake-up call. And we don't have to stay stuck in it. We don't have to increase it to the point of suffering. We don't have to blame it on others. We can actually pick up the tool of forgiveness and dismantle the reality from our thoughts, our beliefs, and our past energetic patterns that are creating the pain we're in.
Absolutely. And Nene is on the line now, I believe. Nene, are you with us?
Yes, hello.
Awesome. Welcome. How are you, young lady?
Thank you. I've been in line for on the phone for a while. It's been awesome to listen, Dr. Tim, Michael, and part of my participation today is about, yes, that we internally create. After listening to you, Dr. Tim, it's clear for me, even more clear, that's why we are the creators, because our thoughts, our feelings, and the stress is internal. It's eternal. And then when we are off the mark, that's when we pretend that it's an external cause to what we are experiencing.
Absolutely.
And that's when, like Michael said, that's when we lose the password and we cannot change, and that's when we blame others, etc., etc. And also I wanted to clarify about the stress. Could we say that this is kind of a chemistry, like internal chemistry, the stress that we create, it's the internal frequency?
Yes. Whenever I set a goal, I create stress. Whenever my mind feeds me a reality, it's a result of a stress. If my reality is off base, if it's based in some form of hostility or fear, I'll know it's off base. And if I keep insisting that reality must be true, that's the definition of blockage of truth. So I'm in some form of hostility or fear, and I'm not willing to collapse the output of my 9-bit mind to make space for something new to come in. And when something shows up that resonates that blockage of truth, it will take everything in me that goes against it and start it resonating. And that's where the stress level tends to go up higher and higher. And I'm sticking to my story. I'm not giving it up. I don't care what you say. If it kills me, I'm sticking to my story. It's the game of the non-being mind. And or one of the other things that you'll oftentimes see happen is somebody will have a story, and when that story is confronted and shown as being totally illogical, irrational, and untrue, that mind that's in blockage of truth will change their story to a totally different story. And they'll even forget that they told the first story. And they'll insist that their new story is now the truth. And when that's proven to be illogical, irrational, and absolutely untrue, they'll make up another story, and another, and another, and on it will go. And each time, very often, forgetting that they told the story before. Each time that their story is proven illogical, they'll go right on, and ultimately they will ravish, they will attack viciously the person who stands before them delivering truth, and that's, of course, the whole John the Baptist story. You know, John the Baptist delivered information to the king and queen that they didn't want to hear, and so what did they do in order to get rid of their addiction was blocking truth, and so they cut off his head in order to get rid of him and not have to face the truth. They were willing to go to that extreme, and there's your root cause of war. And when we can get enough people who love truth enough to be responsible for, gee, here I am, I'm in pain, I'm in turmoil, I'm in trauma, I believe it's all somebody else's fault, and so what do I need to do to change that dynamic in myself to actually really, truly be open to, well, let me be guided into what that might be. Let me look. Let me sincerely look becomes key. You have any thoughts on that, Dr. Tim?
Well, I just think it's accurate in so many ways, at so many levels. I for myself, part of what feeds that, the addictive process, being addicted to blockage of truth, is the fear that comes up about losing myself because I've become so identified with what it was I thought I knew. So if I get attached to this body of knowledge, if I get attached to a label of myself, if I get attached to a role I have, then anything that comes along that wants to redefine that or challenge any of those definitions that I've identified myself as resonate a fear in me. It stirs up within me old places where I have stored fear or uncertainty or old pain, and so it feeds that addiction to that blockage of truth.
Exactly.
One of the keys is to be willing to understand that I'm not the physical body. I'm a soul or a spirit that's having a physical experience, not a body that has a soul, and that there's nothing that can be taken from me of value, and nothing can be added to me of any value because it's all in there. It's like the old ragu commercials. It's already in there.
Absolutely. So, Nene, did you have something else to share with us from what you shared yesterday?
Well, yes. Today I'm still receiving compliments and gratitude from the group that came to the breathing. And also, I've been processing, so I'm kind of a little bit slow today. I think I'm processing my part as well. And also,
awesome.
One of the ladies told me that since we started the support group about 8 weeks ago already, they noticed how I have also evolved and I'm welcoming more. They notice in the quality of my words or the quality of the ideas, and they understand more. Of course, it's been awesome to be part of the whole group. It's a holistic. It's everybody as one. And as I improve and more people in the group, also in other parts, so I can see creating the mass, critical mass. I can see the expansion. I want to say that.
Well, certainly when you decide that you're going to teach this work, and that's one of the challenges, everything that you've not dealt with, Jeannie used to share when she started her support group that each time she had selected a lesson that she was going to do for the support group, that week she would get to live that lesson in spades, so she could speak from it from personal experience. And so for people who are going to teach the work, being prepared to say, okay, I'm going to get to face in spades in me whatever it is that I need to face next. It's like cranking up the heat to a whole new level. You say, I'm ready to teach it. So that's one of the beauties of it, and I acknowledge your willingness to take each layer as it comes and to work through it.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tim, as well, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Nene. Is David still on? Was he going to talk with you today about something from yesterday?
Yeah, he called later and he gave me homework. So when I have it ready, I'm going to talk to him and then we'll share.
All right.
Awesome. He is awesome. David, it's amazing how clear his clarity, his message. He's a wonderful teacher.
Fabulous. Well, David, do you have anything to share at this moment?
No, just what Renee said. She's going to work on her little agreement, and when she's complete with it, then she'll get on the show and do it.
Cool. All right. Well, we've got another caller, and it's area code 970. 970, you are on the air. It sounds like maybe it's going to be Carrie.
Yeah, it is. Hey there.
Hey there, young lady.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
You're loud and clear.
Oh, good. I just wanted to say, when Dr. Tim was talking about at the beginning of the show about how when the more healing you need to do, the more intense usually the issue is. And I was just like, yeah, right on. I sure know that. And I wondered what you guys would say about what happens when you end up not resolving, the issues are very intense, and then you, for some reason, you part ways with the person, and then you don't resolve those issues there, and you keep working on them on your own. I kind of just wondered what you guys' insights are on that. How it's funny. Some of the things that have brought to mind for me that were in the recent year. I realized as I was thinking this, I need to probably do a worksheet on this for sure. But I feel like there's people that are in that field that are criticizing me because they don't like the way that I dealt with things or whatever. And I have this sort of like sense of shame or guilt or, there's something wrong with me kind of thing. But anyway.
Sounds like the worksheets on shame and guilt are in order.
Yeah, definitely. But so I guess I just wondered how you guys see, ongoing healing of really deep things when they end up coming up and then not getting, processed through or cleared when you're with, when you're in the situation. Because I think when you're in the situation, it's obviously much more intense than it is when you leave and you're just on your own and that reflection isn't being brought up every day.
So the thing to do, Carrie, is to make sure that you continue your work around those issues that were not resolved within the context of the relationship. If the relationship had closure, people leave, divorce, whatever, that you continue to work on whatever your issues were, because if you don't, you're going to resonate. You're going to find somebody else to play it out with.
Absolutely.
And it's played out.
I'm terrified of that.
Yeah. Say it again.
I'm terrified of that. Not terrified, but it's just like I just keep saying to myself, am I doing my work to the depths I need to? Because I would like to be able to step into something at a greater level of clarity. And,
So your next worksheet. Is on terror.
Okay.
On fear of not being able to create a whole, healthy relationship. So I'd suggest that you work on that issue as well. Perhaps a mind shifter would be a good idea. You got a pen handy? Are you there?
I'm still here. You're kind of fuzzy. I don't know if Dr. Tim is still on, but...
Yeah, I'm still here, and Michael was about to suggest a mind shifter for you. Do you have a pencil ready?
Yeah. So the mind shifter that I'd offer would be, it's easy, safe, and healing for me to create wondrous, nurturing relationships.
You get that, Carrie?
I'm working on it.
Are you breathing?
Through the tears and the breathing. Got it. Cool. Thanks.
Awesome.
So I think just hearing Dr. Tim say that this morning sort of activated a lot of thinking for me, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. And then that, just the curiosity of how do we keep doing that deeper work, once we're out of the situation, when it ends for whatever reason it is. And then...
Well, I think you just stepped right into it, and you're talking to Michael about how you're terrified of duplicating the pattern again. There's your doorway. There's a wonderful story by Ursula K. Le Guin, where the essence of the story is, in order to reach our destination, we've got to follow the terror. And we can't let our terror turn us away. We have to understand that with proper understanding and the proper tools, that's where we need to go. Because there isn't anything out there to be terrified of other than what we've created in our misunderstanding of actuality.
Right.
And you can trust Ruka.
You can what?
Trust Ruka, the great comforter.
Trust Ruka
nice.
more than you trust your own carbon-based memory, your own stories. And you're willing to connect to the active presence of love. I was given we were in a church the other day and found a little statue that I bought that I thought was pretty cool. It had a quote from Thomas More. And what it says is, there is no sorrow on earth that cannot be healed by heaven. Are you willing to let the kingdom of heaven that is within you come alive in you?
Okay, Michael?
No.
Michael?
Yes. Yes,
Try
sir.
it again.
Okay.
The quote by Thomas More was, there is no sorrow on earth
that cannot be cured by heaven.
Good, keep going.
And if you trust your own carbon-based memory and its stories and its hostilities and its fears and its lies more than you trust that, then you're going to be right. You will get to play out whatever it is that you have fear about. And so getting to the point, you listen to Yeshua, and so many times he says, fear not, fear not. You were given a strong mind, not a spirit of fear. And so to stop trusting that fear-based mind, to let go of your trust in it, and to love truth enough, to live in love, and to use the guidepost for your behavior of, if I'm out of touch with love, then I'm in a lie. And I have to stop trusting this lie.
That's good.
It's major to stop trusting the lie. And your mind's lie is, I'll never be able to create decent relationship, or, there'll always be this terror and turmoil. I'll always be in situations that show me there's something wrong with me. And the truth is, there's nothing wrong with you. You are, in your being, as perfect as any being has ever been, including Yeshua himself. And your carbon-based memory has a different story that it likes to tell you. And it find all kinds of tricks to keep you in fear. All kinds of turmoil and pain and trauma to keep you in fear. It's time to do the work that it takes to trusting that, to let that go. To let go of your attachment to weakness. And to tap into the trust of this power. And to trust that power will guide you appropriately at every instant becomes part of the process.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you, I don't know, just hearing, thank you for all of that, and hearing, I don't know, I guess just what Dr. Tim said today, it just activated this whole train of thought, and I realized I could just see a whole list of worksheets to do right now that have been kind of things just sort of percolating under the surface that weren't quite coming up. So thank you, and good direction, great insights. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. There's a fabulous quote from the Course in Miracles that speaks about Ruka Kudsha. The words that the Course uses are the Holy Spirit, but in Aramaic it's Ruka Kudsha. And that is this elemental force in us, not a disembodied spirit being, but this elemental force in us that when invited to action does the effects of our ears and teaches the truth. It has to be into activity, trust on a deeper level than we trust the stories that our generations have told us forever. And one of the stories most people trust is the story that, yes, but this is all your fault. It's all somebody else's fault. It's got nothing to do with me, because I have to be perfect, because if it's not perfect, then everything around me crashes and I don't survive. That's a childhood terror for most people.
Yeah.
And when you transfer your trust out of that story into Ruka, and here's what the Course says, and Ruka in Aramaic is feminine. Once you have accepted her plan as the one function that you would fulfill, there will be nothing else that Ruka Kudsha will not arrange for you. Without your effort, she will go before you, making straight your path and leaving in your way no stones to trip on, no obstacles to bar your way. Nothing you need will be denied you. Not one seeming difficulty, but will melt away before you reach it. You need take thought for nothing, careless of everything, except the one purpose that you would fulfill. And its fulfillment is guaranteed because you are a son or daughter of the Creator.
Is that passage going to be in one of the books that you're republishing?
Actually, it's in the Course in Miracles. You can go on the web, you can download the Course in Miracles free in a digital version. You can just do a search. Once you have accepted, and the Course refers to Ruka Dukucha as masculine, the Aramaic is feminine. So if you just download the Course in your computer in a searchable format and just search the words, once you have accepted his plan, his Aramaic is in the Course.
Okay.
Just do that and you'll find the whole passage. It's right there.
Okay, I'd love to type that out and put it up on my wall.
Yeah. No, you can download the Course free on the web.
Awesome. Thank you. I had no idea of that. Great. One more question. You at one time
As a matter of fact, I have the original version of the Course in digital format. Send a copy to you.
Okay, cool. One time you talked about the difference between anger or hostility and fear and what the two of them are rooted in. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I came across an interesting definition of fear the other day, and it was from Aristotle. And what he said was, fear is the pain of impending evil. Fear is the pain of impending evil. Hostility or anger is the drug with which we come pain.
What was that?
And when you stop believing impending evil, that something terrible is going to befall you because you made a mistake, and you better be perfect or else. When you let go of all of that, and you can just be a human being, presence of love, that can and will and has and does make mistakes. And that's okay. And you can step into your human life in a state of trust. And as you trust, all things will come to you that are needed to carry you through. I'll give you an example for me. I had a neck injury that went on for years, and I could share several of these stories, but this is one that's particularly, for me, particularly poignant. But I had a neck injury, and a few years back, there was a fellow at Heartland who was looking at my hand, and he had a local real estate broker who was coming to pick me up and asked me if I wanted to go alone. Anybody that knows me knows that I don't get in a car without putting the seatbelt on. It doesn't matter if I'm just moving across the parking lot. I put the seatbelt on. And the thought that goes with that for me every time is this is my commitment to safety. Just safety. And I say that to myself when I put a seatbelt on. So I get in the back of this Jeep-type vehicle, or Blazer, and I find out that it's got a jury-rigged back seat. It's got a roll bar on it, jury back seat. And I get in the back, and the seat belts that are part of the car fit into the seat belt that's on the jury-rigged seat. It's a substitute seat. So I can't put a seat belt on. And I think to myself, well, we're just going a couple miles, we're looking for a piece of land, I'll just go. So we drive up of Heartland, and we go down the road about maybe 4 miles, and we go into this 100-acre piece of property. And we're driving across the property, maybe 2 or 3 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour, and all of a sudden, we hit a gopher hole. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a car and you're doing 4 miles an hour. That stops totally, completely, 100% on the spot. But you become a projectile. Without a seatbelt, you're a projectile. I became a projectile. And where I went was, the roll bar was above my head, and I went up and glanced off the roll bar, and I hear my neck go crunch, 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 crunch. And, since I've had this neck injury, I've been adjusted by some of the best osteopaths, chiropractors, naturopaths on the planet. And when I land back in my seat from becoming a projectile from this slow-moving instant stop, the pain that's been in my neck for 22 years, well, that's about 2 years ago now, I guess 3 years ago, so it would have been about 18 or 19 years, is 100% gone. I mean, something that I've had worked on. It's totally, completely gone.
Wow.
And it's something that in order to, just carry on up until that point, I would adjust my neck at least 2 or 3 times a week myself and or get a professional to help me with it. Totally complete. Now, I could tell you a half a dozen stories like that, but that's one that when I've had those kinds of experiences and I've had them repeatedly, I trust real quick. I trust that where I go, what I do, it's all going to be there when I get there. Now, if you can get to the point where you can trust that more than you trust your story based in fear, that is, of impending evil, then you'll make that shift into trust.
Sounds like that saying about Ruka would be really, really good to just put up and memorize and get really integrated into my mind and heart.
Absolutely. Well, I'll email you a copy of what's called the text, and it's a public domain document. So I'll email that to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
It's at the tail end of a section titled Entering the Ark.
Ooh.
So you can search for it that way, or you can just search for "once you accept his plan" in quotes, and that'll take you to the text.
Okay. Cool. That sounds awesome. Thanks, you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for the call, Carrie. We've got 4 minutes left.
Okay, have a great day.
Okay, blessings. Take care. Our call-in number, 646-200-4169. We do have time for another caller. If anybody wants to put your hand up in the switchboard or something in the chat room. Otherwise, let me just share that we will be heading back to Heartland for a program that will start. We'll actually be getting there on the I think it's the 14th or the 15th, but we start on July the 12th with 10 days of food, fun, forgiveness, and work. A special program done by Ari and the whole team, and we'll be doing awesome food. Ari's got some new recipes for us that he's promised, and both cooked and raw recipes. We'll be doing evening workshops. We'll plan to do at least 2 Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing workshops during that 10 days. It's an economy program. It's a work program that we usually do each year before we start our intensive season. So it's an economy program, and you can do the whole 10 days, food, accommodations, everything for $750. So we'll do that starting on the 12th of July to the 21st. And then we'll take a day off, and then on the 23rd of July until the 31st, we'll do a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me again. So that'll start July 23rd to the 31st, and we'll finish that workshop on the morning of the 31st. And then the evening of the 31st, we'll begin a 9-day teacher training. And that 9-day teacher training will take us through until August the 8th, and that will be the completion of our intensive season at Heartland this year. So if you're interested in taking your work to another level, you can drop us an email or let us know in the chat room, or give us a call. The number's on the website. Our website, of course, is www.whyagain.com. And also on the right-hand side of the website, there's a link, about 6 links down. It says download worksheets. It will tell you exactly how the forgiveness process is done from the ancient Aramaic. There are 3 links. The first one is the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? The chapter 24 from the book. Second link is the word, and there are 5 other links that will tap you into radio shows where we walk them through the whole forgiveness process. And so we're delighted that you're with us. I think we've reached the completion point at this point. Jeannie's got an outro. So we'll just bring a stranger with you to the show tomorrow, and we'll look forward to seeing you. Have the blessed year yet of your eternal life. Bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife Jeannie, who present that internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeannie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.